Are you ready to hear about the evils of capitalism from a multimillionaire?
Unity leadership, they can't help being the frickin' worst. The company's had some...
Well, that was way faster than I expected. He got to the point real fast, wow.
rough goings these past few months because of decisions made by leadership. Recall that in a few videos from months ago, I covered the whole situation involving how Unity tried to charge developers fees for game installations, which was extremely
Hilarious.
and rife with loopholes that would make it not viable for up-and-coming developers especially to make games on Unity, with indie devs in particular being most punished based on their fee structure.
Think about the poor little people. They matter so much. You know what I always wondered, by the way? I wonder if YongYea has an editor, a researcher, or someone who he employs. Because the point is, if he employs someone, which he most likely does, I have a strong suspicion he is not giving them their fair cut. I have a strong suspicion he is not paying them 50% of his earnings because they are the ones that actually do all of the job and whatnot. Why do I have a strong suspicion that's not happening? If he does have an employee under him. I would imagine he does, though. And if he doesn't, that's kind of stupid when you're a multimillionaire.
And that got so much outrage that got walked back real quick, which I covered in this video right here. They responded to the mass revolt from developers. And while the way they walked it back did resolve a lot of those qualms where they set a ceiling in terms of percentage, they'll make it so that game installation fees can't exceed a certain amount. That made it a lot more reasonable. By then, the trust...
So, you're telling me Unity flat out won at the end. So, they set out to make money, they did, there you go.
Had been broken. Even if this payment, the renewed or the adjusted payment structure works, the way developers are thinking of Unity is, well, if they're willing to pull something like this now, what's the guarantee that they won't pull something like this again in the future, where out of the blue, they'll pull the rug from developers and change...
Yeah, because game developers themselves couldn't do anything as shady, as sleazy. It's not like we got the day before, and now that we have the day before part 2 that is called the Quinfall. Great times. I mean, the developers are always right. It's the small people who are always right. Yes.
The rules on them willy-nilly and engage in business tactics that are compromising to developers. So with that trust lost, a lot of developers essentially decided to move on from Unity. And so bad was this situation that it contributed to the CEO of Unity, then CEO John Riccitiello, resigning following this whole debacle. John Riccitiello, for those who don't know, is that a former EA executive who made that whole speech about how he wants to charge microtransactions when people reload their guns, charge for bullets mid-game and stuff like that. His vision for...
How am I supposed to keep up with that? You know how many people have already suggested stuff like this? How many people have suggested gating, getting to a boss, and then needing to pay a certain amount of money? How many people... This is nothing new. These conversations are nothing new. Why would I care? He's like the 15th millionth person in the gaming industry who has suggested these things. It's not new. I'm not surprised he's suggesting it. They're businessmen at the end of the day. Like, I don't understand the idea here. Are these not businesses? Should they not look into ways to make... Should they make everything free? What exactly is the point here? Oh, evil business asking money? Well then, Yong, give me your money. You don't need it, clearly. You're a multimillionaire already, so it is what it is. By the way, I can't wait until someone comments, oh, YongYea is not a millionaire. If you think YongYea is not a multimillionaire at this point, what are you on? I want a hit, okay? Because you're living a fantasy world, okay? I want to enter it.
what gaming should be, and the kinds of tactics he wants to engage in are shady as all hell, and I'm glad that he's out. But unfortunately, not all negative aspects of Unity leadership is out. Plenty of executives who contributed to the degradation of Unity are still very much present.
I love the part where he's always, by the way, I love this. He always contributes all of the negatives to the leadership, to the executives, to the CEOs, to the branch heads, to these people. Bro, if you would work in a even medium-sized company for just a week, you would understand that average level employees, like rank and file people, contribute to this problem also, because they suggest things also. But no, it's always the evil executives, CEOs, and all of the three-letter things. Man, it's almost like we're talking about American three-letter organizations of how evil they are, right? But no, it's the rank and file people. It's the people who do these things. They suggest a lot of this stuff, okay? But no, they're never responsible for any of the bad decision making. Oh no. Oh, this is what it looks like when you're clueless.
And that degradation continues with the decision to lay off 25% of Unity staff, which is roughly 1,800 jobs across its workforce. 25%, a quarter of the company. This is without question one of the biggest layoffs we have ever seen in the gaming industry. And it's happening just a little over a week into 2024. The year's barely started, and already we're getting mass layoffs.
Oh no, you can't lay off people at the start of the year. You need to lay them off at the end. No, wait, you can't lay off people at Christmas. When do you lay them off in that case? Middle of the year? That's when the bonuses are almost dealt out, boy. That's when you're locked in. So you're gonna fire people at the start of the year. It's evil because you can't start the new year with losing your job. At the end of the year, it's evil because then it's Christmas and whatnot. The middle of the year is evil because you're laying them off so they don't get their yearly bonuses. When can you fire someone?
As if 2023 wasn't bad enough, this seems to indicate ill omen for the kind of treatment we'll see developers experience throughout 2020.
A company is working like a company. Oh no, look at that. Dude, I swear this kid has never even had a real job. I swear YongYea has actually never had a real job. There is no way he has. Because the way he talks about all of these things is literally like the communist playbook.
24, with corporations just not caring about the talent that made the companies what they are right now.
None of the people fired have talent. I am willing to bet my life on the line as a bet that not a single one of the 1,800 people being fired at Unity had any shred of talent. Okay? You don't go around firing people with talent when you do these layoffs. These layoffs happen in every single industry when it bloats up to be too big and too fat. You trim the fat. There's literally a name for it. And this is what they're doing. Again, how many times do I have to point this example out? Elon Musk, when he came into owning Twitter, he let go of 90% of the staff, or more, I think, at the very end. And people were stupid enough to say, oh my god, how will Twitter function? Elon Musk just fired 90%, and it functions perfectly. There was like 2 days when Twitter was offline for an hour because of some kind of issue. And that's it. That's it. And idiots were, oh my god, how can he do this? Doesn't he want to pay these people for no reason, extremely high salaries for no reason? How can he do this?
Now, more and more, the games industry is proving to be one of the least attractive employment opportunities you could pursue, one of the most volatile, least stable, and that's just gonna...
Welcome to the job market in general.
...push talent away from this industry.
If you're lazy, you're gonna get even fired from that if you're too lazy, I shouldn't say lazy. Again, I worked at the government, but I know that some places are literally gonna take in people who have legitimate brain damage, and try to play it off, even though you can't have people with brain damage in certain positions in the government. They're gonna try to play it off because you can't find anyone. I'm not kidding, by the way. I'm not kidding. This is a legit situation I have seen in my life, okay? Being lazy is fine when you're working for minimum wage at the government, but even there, where people are desperate to find people who will work for them, which is hilarious considering governments all around the world, when they can't find people to work those minimum jobs, they hire companies that have these workers who will do random shit. And those workers are actually pretty expensive. They're 3 times more expensive on average, as much as I know, than the actual workers. So so every government loses out by just not increasing the minimum wage for some positions because they way overspend for the companies that sell these rando do anything type of workers for 3 times minimum wage. It's hilarious, actually. But yeah, I mean, dude, come on.
As for how Unity justified this, they said that they're making cuts as it restructures and refocuses on its core business and to position itself for long-term and profitable growth. Basically a typical corporate PR statement and typical corporate goals. They just, they want to make money.
Yeah, and that's obviously evil in your rhetoric.
Leadership fucked up. They made decisions that screwed over the company and its future prospects. And who gets to pay the price? Of course, the developer.
By the way, I won't agree with the fact that leadership actually screwed up in this case. Okay, that is an ill-informed, very low educated thing. But you see, yes, yeah, I get it. I know, but you don't understand anything. Okay, if you agree with YongYea here. Okay, it is what it is. Deal with it. Get an education, maybe. I don't know. Quit believing that you're gonna be the Bill Gates, okay? Oh, Bill Gates didn't finish school. Bill Gates didn't finish university and made his own company. Bill Gates didn't struggle in the 7th grade like you did, okay? You're not the same. You're not. You never will be, okay? Get an education. Works way better than hopes and dreams on average, okay? It is what it is. Deal with it. But yeah, it's like... It's so funny.
And the staff who had no influence in making the decisions that brought about all the negative.
The staff had influence. It's a meme that the staff doesn't have influence. Do you know how these decisions are made? This is very typical of how these processes happen. You have your CEOs. Let me do a very simplistic explanation of this, right? So everyone understands. You have your CEOs at the top. Then you have your departments. You have department heads. And those department heads have people working on them. If it's bigger, we're not going to talk about it's bigger, but in any case, you will have those department heads, and those department heads will listen to ideas that are getting thrown around by the people working under them, aka very basic rank and file employees. Okay? Because not everyone is trash, and some people can contribute at the lower level to the highest level of decision making. Yeah, that's a thing that actually happens. Mind blown. I know. Get a job, loser. You will find out that this is actually pretty commonplace. And then those decisions get told to those people, and then those people tell the decisions to the CEOs and all of those board meetings and blah, blah, blah. And that's how it trickles up. Yeah, it's a trickle-up economy of ideas. Wow, I know. Shocking. How can that exist? So, yeah, chances are, whatever decisions that were made in Unity, some of those decisions came exactly from the rank and file employees. Okay? It is what it is.
PR surrounding Unity. No doubt that the mass backlash and negative PR surrounding Unity's attempt to charge developers fees for game installations had a role to play in just how many employees were laid off. No doubt that that did have a severely negative impact on their business, especially with John Riccitiello having to resign and leadership having to be restructured and stuff like that. No doubt that this is on some level Unity's attempt to compensate for all of those negative developments that were a result of...
That is what kind... So... You get bad... Does YongYea think you get bad PR and that means that you're gonna fire like a huge chunk of your employees? Does he really think that works like that? No, that doesn't work like that. Dude, if McDonald's gets bad rep for their food being bad, they're not gonna fire 50% of their employees. That's not how this works. Like the guy, he's so clueless.
Leadership failures. And what makes all this especially egregious is that this isn't even the first round of layoffs for Unity. They've been laying off people left and right throughout all of 2023. There's this website called videogamelayoffs.com that keeps track of all of the layoffs that have occurred year by...
I really don't understand, by the way, what's the deal? Are gamers really that stupid, I want to ask? Now, gamers have the absolutely highest level of overinflated self-worth. A lot of gamers think they're really smart because they have played some kind of game where you build a village and it looks like Rome, and now you know what Palinx looks like, and then they get this overinflated idea that they're super smart. But man, this is insane. Like, layoffs are commonplace in every industry, but whenever it happens in the gaming industry, everyone just loses their minds like it's some kind of apocalypse or something. Dude, stuff like this happens everywhere, constantly. Stop.
By year starting 2022, and in the year 2023, if we search Unity, you'll find that they show up 3 times throughout the course of 2023. In early 2023, specifically January 17th, they laid off 300 people. And then on May 2nd, 2023, they laid off an additional 600 people. And then scrolling further up, we can see right here that on November 2000...
So when did Unity actually announce their thing? Let's actually check. He had a thing. Okay, so... Where is it? Let's actually check. So it's 3 months ago. So it's at the end of the year. Okay, so this doesn't even work by YongYea logic himself, because he's saying that, oh, these bad PR things made them you know, fire people, but as we can plainly see here, they also fired people at the start of the year. So what magical reason was there to fire those people at the start of the year? I thought, again, his logic doesn't work on any level but communism.
Scrolling further up,
it's
you
crazy.
can see right here that on November 2023, they laid off an additional 265 people, and now you can stack 1,800 more staff, developers, workers on top of that who have been laid off. Now, The Verge made it a point to highlight that it's not clear whether Unity's cutting 1,800 additional workers on top of the layoffs announced last year, or whether the 1,800 encompasses layoffs that happened in 2023. But regardless, we're looking at what seems to be the biggest mass layoff in recent memory. In 2023, some of the highest figures we saw was 830 people laid off by Epic Games on September 28th, 2023. And then we have this number right here, roughly around 1,000 from Shaoxi Guangyan, which is a Chinese company. Unity's layoff of over 1,800 people completely blows all of those figures out of the water. And that's after the fact that in 2023, Unity's layoffs accounted for the most impactful layoffs that year. It was a significant contributor to the fact that in 2023, over 10,000 game development employees were laid off. And
like, again, this is, so what? I'm sorry, but so what? Oh no, they got laid off. Oh no. Just find a new job, bro. Just find a new job. It happens. It happens to a lot of people. It's not pleasant, but it's not the end of the world.
And just a little over a week into 2024, we're already like a tenth of the way there to beating that record. I don't know how this is sustainable. I don't know how the games industry can hope to attract top-tier talent like this when top-tier talent look at...
Top-tier talent doesn't get fired. Okay? Well, actually, there are situations when top-tier talent can be fired. But, again, it's so rare because that implies that the top-tier talent is getting overpaid like 5 times. That's when top-tier talent gets... And then, by the way, in the game industry, what the hell is considered top-tier talent even? You look at Bethesda, and their main writer for Starfield is considered top-tier talent in the gaming industry, but everyone outside of Bethesda considers him an absolute laughingstock idiot. So what the hell is even top-tier talent? But on average, yeah, top-tier talent never gets fired like this. Unless they are overpaid beyond reason. Bruh, does he really think that top-tier talent gets fired? Listen, I'm really good at what I do. I'm really good at finances. At 25, my boss told me that I should just fucking find a new job and be a leader of a finance department because I am not gonna get more promoted than I already was at the place that I was working at. Okay? He literally just, well, she literally just told me, yeah, there's no more place for you to grow, and you already know everything about leading a finance department and working in finance. So you should probably go find a new place to work. And that's when I became a full-time YouTuber, ironically enough. Yeah, but I was on 25. I have seen mergers. Do you know how many times I was afraid that the merger is gonna get me fired? 0. Why? Because I'm good. Okay? The only people who... And I saw everyone else who was also thinking about the mergers being bad. You know who were the people who were afraid of mergers? The people who were objectively shit at their jobs. Those were the people who were afraid of mergers. The people who, well, also people, well, if you're getting swallowed by a bigger entity and you're going to get it, then the bigger entity heads are always going to replace the already existing heads of the smaller entities. Or now work under them, but that's a different thing. It isn't. The only people who were afraid of mergers were the people who were visibly shit at their jobs. No one else was worried. But the people who were bad at their jobs, oh, they were afraid. They were afraid of getting fired. But but the people who did a good job, they weren't afraid of anything. Again, Young, go work an actual job.
The instability of this industry and figure maybe their talents are better spent elsewhere. The people who get into the games industry and into game development really love their jobs. That's the only reason that they're willing to deal with all this nonsense. But man...
Then pay the price for loving your job. You want to have your fairyland? Well, wow, you're not actually getting it. Wow, who would have expected that? Now pay the price. Dude, it's your choice. You can either love it and be paid less, or you could move on and be a real grown-ass adult.
Something's got to change. Unionization has to happen, and there's got to be some...
Unions, the classic. Okay, listen. If any one of you is joining the workforce, if you're not trash, never join a union. Because joining a union is literally putting just a label on yourself and calling yourself trash. And there are very, 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 very few unions in this world that are actually worth joining. Most of those unions just essentially allow the leaders of the unions to just go and travel around to other places and eat and stay in expensive places, and that's pretty much it. That's it. That's all unions are on average good for, okay? If you join a union, you have literally put a label on yourself, cannot be promoted, essentially, in most cases. Hell, I know that one of my friends works in IT, And he works at a company that is, making literally tens of millions of profits a year and whatnot. It's really good. And that company literally has just flat out told everyone working there, if you unionize, we're just shutting the company down and relocating it in another country. That's it. This is the reality of your unions.
Kind of protection, because stuff like this is just aberrant. And Unity in particular, they already kind of screwed over developers.
Also, it's not aberrant. Aberrant means different, strange, uncommon, out of norm. None of this is out of norm.
With their attempt to charge fees for game installations, which disrupted many game developers, especially indies, who, trusted in Unity and now no longer have that trust and have to work towards shifting to new game engines and have to be wary of stuff like this. But now on top of that, the developers within Unity are also being screwed over. The people who made the engine possible, the people who make all of Unity's services possible, are being completely just seen as disposable tools. And man, unless there's some kind of major leadership overhaul at Unity, it's very difficult to be optimistic about future prospects for it. Despite the fact that Unity plays or I don't know, maybe that'll change, but that at least used to play a major role in the game development scene. So many developers have relied and continue to rely on Unity, but that may very well change if this is the kind of thing we can expect from Unity at a consistent pace. But the main thing is, developers, man, they don't deserve it. The people who actually make the things that we enjoy, the people who have no culpability in the leadership decisions from suits, who are just there for money go up, essentially. And that pursuit being the very reason why leadership makes such shitty decisions. The fact that it's developers who are constantly made to be the scapegoats is just so consistently incredibly frustrating to see. We'll see if Unity will bounce back.
Because most average employees aren't bad. That's also the reality of it. If you have not picked up already of everything I have told you, yeah, the average employee in literally any field, any industry, is actually pretty bad. It's just the life we live in.
From this, but man, from the trust that they have tarnished from developers who use Unity to, them not treating their own staff and developers.
Okay, I'm done. It's a huge sob story.
Next time,
YongYea. Yeah. Oh, out. Good enough. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sensei, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye bye.